Level 3. Face to face with physics itself. Beyond. No sound, no light, no senses, no nothing. Except for a sensation that I was not alone. I was consciously walking around my place, yet subconscious was in this entirely different place, just floating inverted. I decided to go for a walk outside, feeling amazing. Everything looked so different. The depth of beauty that I'd never seen before. Everything I looked at was alive, in beautiful, vibrant harmony. All the trees, the foliage, the wildlife, the sky, it was all one. Everything I looked at told a beautiful story, each cell like a note, all part of a symphony. We were all one. Everything was growing together, feeding off each other. Although it was night, the energy emitted all around was nearly blinding. Where others see dark shadows, where I always saw dark shadows, I now only see light. Everywhere. Everything is alive, beaming with energy. I felt free. For the first time, what felt like an eternity, I took a deep breath like never before. So I started leaning more of my focus and energy into this strange internal dark space. I had every reason to turn back, but fuck that shit. I'm entirely sober, and this is fucking amazing. And felt logical because of the pursuit I was working on that triggered this epiphany of perspective. Regardless of how it sounds, it felt amazing. It felt like a renaissance. It felt right for the first time in my life. I knew whatever this was would seem crazy to everyone, but I knew in that instance their validation, the opinions and points of view of others would never matter in the same way again. I shifted back to this new world. There was no up or down, left or right. It was all sensations and only sensations. Time didn't exist. Space didn't exist. It was like finding a whole other universe, a whole other half of myself, of reality. This is where the few bright minds had ventured. Here, there was nothing but instincts and pressure. I don't know how to accurately convey what that truly felt like, but the entire place felt inside out. I myself felt inside out. Although the environment felt cold and frightening, completely unfamiliar and endless, I felt a warm, soothing comfort and a sense of excitement surrounding me. This excitement, however, felt externally, not internally, as it always had for my entire life. As I allowed myself to take in more of this new alien environment, I began to feel uncomfortable, like there was a strong, negative, sickening pressure swirling around me. But it was all darkness and an entirely new type of ecosystem that was structurally inverted in every way. The pressure, darkness, and resistance was trying to pull me apart, trying to make me feel sick. But I couldn't give less of a fuck. I was awake and this was fucking amazing. I kept telling myself that this experience was unique and could only happen once in a lifetime. Was it outer space or inner space? Did it even matter? I felt this overwhelming sensation that I did it, even though I was vulnerable and had no idea what the fuck was going on or what doing it even meant, as I simultaneously sat on my couch in my modest living room, thinking about how great a cigarette would feel right now. Fuck me. The pressure inside trying to suffocate me, trying to pull and rip me apart was intensifying, but so was my sense of belonging and instinctual intrigue. Just believe in myself and keep going, I felt. It wasn't a voice, but more like a sense of direction, momentum, curiosity, appreciation, ambition, everything but the 5 senses I was told we had, which I began to realize were only fragments of one sense, that of external awareness. This space was entirely internal, but just as real and as vast as the external I've always perceived. I got the sensation that no one has ever been here before in this way. I recognized what other people must have projected to try and familiarize themselves with this ecosystem. I had to appreciate every moment, because this was as real as anything I had and will ever experience. This is what everyone experiences inside. Level 4. Dark currents and pressure versus bright ambition and logic. Again, I was a logical, normal person, absolutely no religious or astrological beliefs at all. The world was simple chaos, and meaning seemed clearly defined. I was convinced, like most people, that atheism is the only direction, and I had no intention of ever changing my mind. This experience was completely out of nowhere and unintended. It was fucked. What was once a world mostly of matter has become a world of nothing but pure energy, fragmented into different forms and structures. Inhaling and exhaling, brightening and darkening. life itself. I'll believe it when I see it, I reminded myself sarcastically. I began reflecting on all the different cultures, myths, and supernatural stories throughout history. Every pop culture reference started to make sense, or at least seeing the raw form of what people had been trying to interpret for eons, from the Egyptians to the Greeks, the Mayans, and the indigenous. I took in this vast ocean, ignored the negative pressure, and started to feel a huge boost of energy. I felt the faintest fraction of a warmer sensation in one specific direction. I couldn't see this in this thick, heavy, dark muck, so I started to push my way inward blindly, fighting powerful negative, sickening currents gripping me and forcing me back, biting and stabbing, pulling and scratching as parts of me were ripped and torn away. I don't know what I was facing, and it didn't matter. I didn't want to know. It might sound painful, but because I was aware and lucid, it wasn't physical pain. It was entirely instinctual and sensational. It was fucking amazing. Ripped at, torn apart, pushed and pulled by currents and forces more powerful and frightening than anything I could have ever imagined, yet I felt my energy growing and my strength building. It should have been scary, but it wasn't. All I knew is that I needed to push inward towards this unknown instinctual direction. So that's what I did for what felt like an eternity. Never did I waver or feel like giving up, even though I didn't know where, when, what I was, why, or how. As the excitement and energy grew, so did my desire for a cigarette. So I walked inside, into the kitchen, and made waffles. A point of view and a perspective. Lucid. Suddenly, through the thick, dark expanse of perpetual nothingness, I saw what looked like a faint, distant star. I floated and pushed and leaned towards it. Parts of me were being devoured, but the warm sensation increased as the tiniest flicker of light sparked. The negative current getting stronger and stronger, sharper and more aggressive. Were they eyes, teeth, claws, tentacles? Were they hands? All or none? I don't know. I didn't care. I feel another blast of exterior sensation and encouragement propelling me through this place beyond time and space. The realization hits me again, the sensation of being inside out. This is it, I felt. I generate another bolt of lightning. It courses through me, and with one big firm sense of self, I electrified all the negativity. Silence. Calm. The storm is over, and I feel like I've made it. Deep breaths. I get closer to the microscopic flickering spark. It starts to look like a tiny metal ball bearing, but I look around and there are no exterior light sources visible. I laugh at the coincidence that a bearing is floating alone in this endless ocean of thick, dark shit. How could I have found this? I laugh as I ask myself, is this tiny little microscopic ball bearing in this inverted swamp my bearing I had to find? I look around again and there are absolutely no light sources. Just a calmness inside and a stack of delicious golden brown maple syrupy waffles being devoured on the outside. Yummy. Level 5. Face to face with myself. The physics of any oneself. All darkness, except this one seemingly tiny point of light coming from this little metal bearing. I stare at it in amazement. What is this tiny little thing doing here? How lucky was I that I saw the light shining inside of it from what felt like an eternity away?